You can see it does weaken a little bit there the farther south into Posey County you get. So we'll have to see if they extend those warnings any farther south. But you're going to get some pretty strong winds when that main line comes through the rest of Posey County and then moves over into the city of Evansville. And we have some storms in the city of Evansville right now with some heavy rain, with some cloud-to-ground lightning. Nothing severe, though, right now. But that main line and what looks to be the main event for Evansville will be moving in here in just a little bit. Let me put a track on this line for you, just so you can kind of see how quickly it's moving. And like I said, it's moving fast at about 60 miles per hour. And we were kind of expecting that to happen. So I will put that on. And this is a 30-minute storm track, guys. So it's going to move through pretty quickly once it does get to your area. So that takes it into Patoka at 8:48. Princeton there in northern Gibson County at 8:51. That line, though, right now, no warning, but would be into the Evansville area just before 9 o'clock. Then off to the east, Petersburg, 10:04 Eastern, and then Boonville as that moves on into Warwick County at 9:13. So that's the latest on that line. Again, we do have tornado warnings on it, but it also has that very widespread wind damage threat, too. So I'll continue to keep an eye on anything that's trying to spin up there along that line, Wayne, but we'll continue to track that east. And then once that moves past your area, that severe weather threat at least is diminishing.
Okay, so that's the latest up north. We're getting back down into southwestern Hopkins County, where a dangerous, what appears to be strong tornado is passing between Dawson Springs and Olney, and probably now getting pretty close to Charleston, or at least that area between Dawson Springs and Charleston in Kentucky. You can see the circulation right there. Very pronounced couplet there on live Doppler radar, and this is coming out of the Fort Campbell radar. It's got a good fix on this, and so this is going to slide very close to Charleston. If anything, maybe just south of Charleston, and then continuing over fairly rural areas there off to the east and southeast of the Charleston area. Now, if this gets extended farther to the east, just to bring everybody into perspective, here's Earlington. So it looks like this would slide south of Madisonville. So you really need to watch this if you're south of Madisonville, probably south of Earlington, the way this is heading. This will be more the corridor between Madisonville to the north and Morton's Gap, and more so Nortonville to the south. That corridor there is what we're going to be concerned about for this tornado, confirmed, now passing north of Dawson Springs. So it looks like Dawson Springs is missing out on the worst of this storm. And if anything, there's a little good news there, but you can see the notch is not too far away. So we feel it's somewhere there along Kentucky 109 to the north of Dawson Springs, between Dawson Springs and Charleston. And this new reflectivity coming in, it looks like it's most intense in that area right there. So once it crosses 109, a close call for Charleston, close call for Dawson Springs to the north, Charleston to the south, and that continues to the east-northeast, and that would bring it up eventually into areas south of the Earlington area and to the well, maybe Morton's Gap. It's going to be close there, but it looks like as far as Madisonville is concerned with this storm, it looks like it would be tracking north of your area. But you can see that very distinct rotation there on live Doppler radar that unfortunately is very easy to detect. And what we've been showing you up until this storm, we've kind of had to pick and search through all the weeds, if you will, to find the circulation. This one's pretty obvious. Stacey, you've got an update.
I do. Let's go to our Max 2 system here. So they've just updated that tornado warning up there in Gibson County. You can see that blinking, and we did get a report on the National Weather Service chat of a funnel cloud reported around the Owensville area. Again, a little bit west of Fort Branch. That's, of course, where our National Weather Service Doppler radar is located. You can see it spinning there, but we are picking up at least some blues, up against some of those brighter shades of red there. So at least some rotation coming up on the radar, and a funnel cloud was reported by some spotters near Owensville. This whole line is moving quickly to the east. So the National Weather Service continuing this tornado warning for this whole severe squall line that is capable of producing both a tornado, but also, again, the extensive straight line winds. And that's located near that St. Francisville area area down to near Owensville, moving to the east very rapidly at 60 miles per hour. So this is going to be, like we just tracked it for you, moving into the Princeton area there, up to the northwest of Owensville. Fort Branch, you're next in line. And again, that's where we have been picking up some of that rotation and the funnel cloud being reported, what's coming toward you. And there they just updated that warning once again. So now they're continuing this tornado warning until 9 o'clock for now northeastern Warwick, northern Vandenberg, and southeastern Gibson counties. So they're kind of zoning in on that part there where they're picking up some rotation, but still concerned about the whole line with the wind damage. But again, in that line, we may see some tornadoes try to spin up, and we could be seeing one right there, Wayne.
Indeed, and so we're basically working two areas of tornado threats. The larger, somewhat smaller threat, nothing small when it comes to tornado threat, but the northeastern portion that Stacy was just showing you, along and north of 64, along and east of Highway 41, pretty broad tornado warning for embedded circulations within a line of damaging wind. The only other tornado warning we have is down here in southwestern Hopkins County, and this is just a tornado. It is a classic supercell that is more than likely producing damage just to the north of Dawson Springs. Continues to look ugly here on the radar, getting probably, I would say, passing between Charleston and Dawson Springs, but you want to be in your safe place, either community, but it certainly looks like it's staying north of Dawson Springs here and getting up closer to the Charleston area. Now, Madisonville, you're under the tornado warning. You can see the original polygon here covered a good deal of Hopkins County until you got up to Hanson. Hanson's not in the warning, but then they put the more focused warning here when the confidence grew exactly where this tornado is. And so it's a much more focused area now for where they think this tornado is going to track. And that would be across southern Hopkins County to the south of Madisonville. So as this more than likely holds together in some fashion, it's going to be passing between Nortonville to the south and Madisonville to the north, probably Earlington to the north. So if you're in this corridor right here, you really need to be preparing to get into a tornado safe area. Matter of fact, if you live in a mobile home and you got time to get out of it and you're in this path here, you still got some time to do that now and get to a safe area, be it north or south of this particular track, because if you get actually to the south, there's nothing else, at least as of right now, and to the north, no more tornado warnings until you get up north of Evansville. So you want to get out of the path of this if you don't have a safe place to be. And of course, a mobile home trailer can't hold up in an EF2 tornado. I don't care if you have tie downs, it's just not going to make it. So that's where you want to evacuate and get out of those. And you got some time, but they're updating the situation here, and it doesn't look like they're changing this polygon much at all. I think they're just updating here the tornado warning. I don't think we have a new warning coming in. We do have a new warning.
Yeah.
Okay, let's back it up here and see what we got. And the system trying to...
It looks like it's our system. It's that one up there. We have.
Yeah, Northern Spencer, Northern Warwick, Southern Pike.
Yeah, and I believe it's going to be a confirmed one now, at least on radar, but it hasn't hit our system yet. Okay,
yeah, that's along that main line of storms to the north. And yeah, we got looks like a purple edge to it there. So this looks like a confirmed tornado warning. And now severe thunderstorm warning for Du Bois County, Western Perry County, Northern Hancock, but a confirmed tornado warning up there along that line. So we told you what's going on in Hopkins County. You know, if you're in that area, south where you need to be in the tornado safe area, Madisonville, Earlington, south to Nortonville, it's coming your way, okay? Now we have to zoom in and focus on what could be another confirmed tornado up here to the north.
This is what they're kind of keying off of, where they had the funnel cloud reported near the radar site in Owensville. Now they say a tornado-producing storm located over Fort Branch as it moves east at 60 miles per hour. But they are calling it now a radar-confirmed tornado. And like I said, we did have some spotter reports of at least a funnel cloud when it was over Owensboro. So this new tornado warning, which is a radar confirmed one, is for northern Warwick County, northeastern Spencer County, southeastern Gibson, and southeastern Pike County until 9:30. Worried about, again, a damaging tornado now with this part of the line. So that would be near Oakland City and Linville by 8:55, just in a couple more minutes. Dale around 9:15 there in Spencer County, and Santa Claus in Spencer County around 9:25. So again, moving east, Wayne, at 60 miles per hour because this is that main line.
Yeah, we've got it here on velocity. You can clearly see the rotation right there, that inflow here coming right out of the Fort Branch area. So it's tracking right along 168. Maybe just along and north of 168, but this would be the tornado here. This is probably the rear flank downdraft where you're getting a lot of straight line winds here right along 168. The tornado would more than likely be tucked into that notch right there. So if you are to the east of Highway 41 in Gibson County, in particular, this would be areas along and north of 168. There is Mackay, there is Somerville, and there's your tornado right there embedded within this line. As we told you earlier, when we're looking at these lines, we look for notches where these circulations are going to spin up, and that's a very pronounced notch, and that's why we have gone with the Weather Service has gone with a confirmed tornado warning. Let me actually back out of that a little bit more and show you a little better perspective as far as where we are here. So the tornado, it looks like it's just to the northeast of Fort Branch, moving to the east towards Somerville. This is going to slide south of Oakland City. Now, Oakland City, you're technically on the edge of the initial tornado warning, actually, you are in that one. You're right on the edge of it, and it looks like the southern edge of this is down along I-64. They made it a fairly broad warning because they're concerned maybe other circulations are going to fire up here, but clearly you can see the one right there that has really given them confidence that we've got a tornado embedded within that line. And you can see that notch right there heading towards Somerville. So getting ready to cross I-69 in eastern Gibson County, in particular the Somerville area. You want to be in your tornado safe area in Somerville, and points along Indiana 168 to the east of Fort Branch, especially just north of 168, between Oakland City and Somerville. It looks like it's going to come into that area, or we'd say between Oakland City and 168. That corridor right there is where we've got what looks like a tornado spinning up on the leading edge of that line of severe storms that is also producing extensive damaging straight line winds. So that is our second confirmed tornado up here, and that is to the north. And it looks like now they're just updating the additional warnings that are off to the east. And now we got another new tornado warning coming in. And let's see who that is for. Okay, not sure where. Oh, it looks like it's Northern Pike, Northeastern Pike.
Yeah, Gibson and Northern Pike. So northeastern Gibson and then also Pike County until 9:30. New tornado warning there. Same thing, they're saying radar indicated rotation. So again, I'm sorry, not the same thing. This is just a radar indicated tornado warning, not a radar confirmed one like what we were just tracking for you there, coming out of the Fort Branch area and moving into eastern Gibson County there in the Somerville area. But north of that, in northeastern Gibson County and then over into Pike County, they're issuing a new tornado warning for at least radar indicated rotation, and that will be near Oakland City and also Petersburg and Winslow over the next 30 minutes. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one too. But again, in that tornado warning, they're indicating that this is along the main line, so extensive straight line wind damage, certainly a possibility as that line moves to the east. Now they've got it at about 55 to 60 miles per hour. So still moving pretty fast, maybe just a little bit slower there. But that's the latest on that tornado warning, Wayne. That one just a radar indicated rotation.
Okay, all right, we're going to get back to southern Hopkins County. Still a very significant tornado here. Nothing has really weakened at all. It's pushing east of Kentucky 109, and this is going to be moving into areas between Arlington to the north, Nortonville to the south. So if you're in that part of Hopkins County, you need to be getting into your tornado safe area now. You've got some time to prepare, and you've even got time over here. You're not under that tornado emergency yet, but you'll have some time to at least evacuate a mobile home because this tornado continues to hold together. You can see the circulation now to the east of Charleston over a fairly rural area, and then it will continue to track eastward towards, in general, Morton's Gap. I think that might be the closer call for any of these cities here in the southeastern part of Hopkins County. It looks like it'll stay north of Nortonville. Very close call for Morton's Gap. If anything, it might come in just north of Morton's Gap to the south of Arlington. They're going to extend this polygon eventually and focus in on that tornado emergency, but we continue to see a very distinct couplet here coming out of southwestern Hopkins County on live Doppler radar out of the Fort Campbell area, which has got a really good vantage point into this, and it actually looks like the reflectivity may be running ahead here, so it's quite possible that that the tornado is now a little farther to the east, getting closer to Morton's Gap. Just based on reflectivity here, it looks like that maybe the velocity data is lagging just a little bit behind what we're showing on reflectivity. Let me see if I can confirm that with the other radars in the area. We'll just use VWX and see how it's matching up. It's still a little bit farther there to the west. So let's see what the reflectivity is showing. Yeah, it looks to me that it would probably be somewhere in this notch here. So my guess is it's getting now more to the north of St. Charles and getting ready to head towards that corridor between Arlington to Nortonville. And we'll get an update from the Weather Service here shortly in terms of whether they're going to extend that to tornado emergency. But that continues to be the most dangerous situation that we have here in southern Hopkins County, where a very pronounced circulation is now more than likely continuing to produce a tornado that likely passed just north of Dawson Springs, south of Olney, Kentucky, very close to Charleston, and is now pushing across southern parts of the county to the north of I-69, heading towards the corridor between Arlington to Morton's Gap to I-69. So that is the really dangerous storm that we have out there now. The other ones are dangerous, no doubt about it, especially that one up in eastern Gibson County. We saw circulation on that. What are the updates that you got there?
They're continuing that. No update from the Weather Service, but take a closer look here on my MAX system, and you can kind of see we're just continuing to track where we have those stronger winds showing up, those lighter shades of red there. That's what Wayne was tracking for you, that we picked up just coming out of the Fort Branch area when they really hit this tornado warning a little bit harder and put out a radar confirmed tornado warning. So that is now between about Buckskin and Somerville there in eastern Gibson County. That's moving east. So as that continues to move east, it'll move into southern parts of Pike County around the Spurgeon area up toward Coy, it looks like next. As that kind of stays, it looks like going to be staying just to the south of the Oakland City area. You are under a tornado warning in the Oakland City area, but you're just kind of south of where we've really been picking up that confirmed rotation on radar. So let me, yep.
Tornado warning. They just extended the tornado warning into Du Bois and far northern Spencer counties. Okay. For that same circulation.
Let's go over to the Louisville Weather Service for the Du Bois County warning. So yeah, so the National Weather Service out of Louisville now indicating a tornado warning for Du Bois County until 10:45 Eastern Time, 9:45 Central Time. Those severe thunderstorms along that line, they're capable still of producing tornadoes and still the extensive straight line wind damage. They're located near Oakland City. So again, that's that whole line moving to the east at 65 miles per hour. I'll pull back a little bit on this and kind of show you that whole line there from up around the Petersburg area. Now another tornado warning that looks like a radar confirmed one up there.
Southern Hopkins County, they're extending that pretty much.
But then there's another one up here south and east of Vincennes, over in probably parts of southeastern Knox County, and then over into Davis County there. Yes. And it looks like another update on our tornado warning down here in southern Pike County.
Switch to Max 2 while she's getting that. I just want to show you the big picture here because we got a lot going on. Go to Max 1 if you will here, and let me show you the bigger picture. And you can see the new tornado warnings are up in this area here. Severe thunderstorm warnings for the entire Evansville metro, and then we got that tornado emergency down in southern Hopkins County for areas between Arlington to the north and Nortonville to the south. I've been spending a lot of time on that, but now we're continuing to get tornado warnings extended here to the east, along and north of 64 to the east of Highway 41, northeastern portions of our viewing area. Evansville, Henderson, Newburgh, Owensboro, all under severe thunderstorm warnings for the potential of damaging straight line winds. And you can see everything now evolving into that line we were talking about. And this is the main event, I think, for Evansville right now, Stacy. It looks like yeah, we definitely got that.
And I'm not even sure that Evansville even went under any kind of a warning, to be honest.
We do have a warning. Okay. A severe thunderstorm warning. They blanketed the whole area here. Before we get up to Evansville, I want to get down and update the situation down in Hopkins County because they did extend the tornado emergency a little farther off to the east. No surprise there. We've been tracking that circulation, but you can see now that indeed it's going to stay south of Madisonville and to the south of Arlington. So that you can see it's a box within a box, if you will. And so this is the new tornado emergency. Arlington to the north, Nortonville, I-69 to the south. What are they saying about that, Stacy, as I pull up some of the velocity data here? And I'm going to actually pull this up out of the HPX area.
Okay, here's the latest on that. It is still a tornado warning emergency there for central Hopkins County, including Morton's Gap. So again, tornado warning for southeastern Hopkins County. It's going to go for another 25 minutes until 9:30. Still calling it the same, a confirmed large and destructive tornado near Dawson Springs and moving east at 30 miles per hour. So this is a tornado emergency for Morton's Gap and really all of central Hopkins County. Still a radar confirmed tornado, and we've certainly had lots of reports of that. Considerable damage possible, and it's going to be near Arlington and Morton's Gap here in the next few minutes.
Okay, and you can see the circulation there crossing Kentucky 112. Although, let me just check reflectivity real quick. I'm not sure if it's keeping up with the reflectivity or the velocities are keeping up with the reflectivity, but it looks like it's getting probably pretty close now to the Morton's Gap area. So you can see this new polygon right in the middle of that. You draw a line down the middle of it, bam, you got Morton's Gap. So Morton's Gap, I think, is going to be the most populated town in the direct line of this tornado. May just miss you to the north, but boy, if you're in Morton's Gap, you need to be in your tornado-safe area. Basement, lowest floor of your home, you know the routine, and we'll ride this out because this has a history of producing a tornado, a very pronounced signature, broad circulation. I'm thinking that data might just be a little bit old, so I'm just going to go.
And they've extended this now into central Muhlenberg County, Wayne, the tornado warning down there, and that's going to go until 10 o'clock. So they're already just kind of giving Muhlenberg County a heads up with that. Okay,
so yeah, looking at all the radar data here, you know, all the velocity fields are still coming in back here. So yeah, they are extending it farther to the east into Muhlenberg County, you said. So, and we will get into, we'll just track it to town by town here. And right now we're focusing on the areas south of Madisonville here for a very dangerous tornado along Kentucky 112, about to move south of Arlington into the Morton's Gap area or very close to Morton's Gap. So you really need to be in your tornado safe area down there. This is not a situation where you got to wonder, is this the real deal? I think this is the real deal. Just based on what we've been seeing, this could easily be an EF2 tornado or stronger, and it has a history. And we've been tracking it now for the past really hours since it developed to the southwest of the tri-state. So that is the biggest tornado threat, individual tornado threat that we have. And then we've got the tornado warnings embedded within the line that is now advancing through our northern counties. You can see along and north of 64, eastern Gibson, Pike, Du Bois counties, and those areas along 64 in Warwick and Spencer counties have a tornado warning, straight line winds, embedded tornado, and then the rest of the area getting a severe thunderstorm warning for damaging straight line winds. And as we can see here from the bigger picture, it looks like the main event playing out for Evansville. And honestly, it looks like Evansville may have slid by here without too much trouble, because you can see this line really setting up here, and that's got to still plow through our southeastern counties, and then it turns a little bit more to the north. So eventually this is just going to turn into one big Boeing line of storms, slide down into Tennessee. It's in the process of doing that right now. But this part that's detached from this line here appears to be getting a little more shear, and so we're seeing more spin-ups here along that part of the line. And it looks like this part here, south of Evansville, is now kind of really diminishing the threat for the Evansville, Henderson, Newburgh area. Not entirely, but at least that's the way things have been evolving here in the last 15 to 20 minutes. But clearly the most dangerous storm is down here. Supercell tornadic storm, could be a strong tornado, and then these weaker circulations spinning up on the line along and north of 64 in areas of Pike and Du Bois counties. And so I'm going to go back down to the south. Stacy, if you want to update the situation up on the north end here, and we'll kind of take it warning by warning.
Yeah, let's go to our other Maxa computer and go in a little bit tighter, and we'll start kind of up to the north. And we have had now some reports along this line of a tornado spotted by spotters up here in southeastern Knox County, but now you can see that they've kind of switched that from the purple tornado warning, which is a radar confirmed one, to a regular radar indicated tornado warning. But again, some areas around the Monroe City area, which is just down here to the southeast of Vincennes, we're reporting at least a funnel cloud or a possible tornado there. But that line is moving to the east into Davis County, up there along the northern edge of the tri-state. So those of you in the city of Washington, you've got the leading edge of that line about to move in. And remember, extensive straight line winds with the potential for something to try to spin up and be a tornado as that line moves in. So that's what's going on along the northern edge of it. And then that extends now down the leading edge almost all the way through Pike County. The leading edge is now to the east of Petersburg and really moving through the Winslow area. So main event there in Pike County now for the Petersburg and Winslow areas, but on the leading edge of that and then working its way into Du Bois County. That's when you're going to have your main event with, again, the potential for some extensive damaging winds, but also something to spin up as a tornado. So those of you in Du Bois County, you're also under a tornado warning. And these are more, obviously bigger tornado warnings. They're kind of doing broad ones because they're concerned about the whole line with some damaging winds. But again, something could try to spin up there.
The gust front is about to hit Owensboro.
Okay.
So I want to show you, this is game on for Owensboro. This is the main event coming in right now. Straight line winds.
Straight line winds, and you haven't been under a tornado warning in the city of Owensboro. And I think that straight line wind threat there is for 60-mile-per-hour winds. So a regular severe thunderstorm warning, but nonetheless, right now is when you're getting probably your strongest wind.
And switch over to Max 1. We got the camera out of the Owensboro riverfront. And so this is the main event for the city of Owensboro. More intense than what came through Evansville, but the line of straight line winds now plowing through the city. This is a live view off the top of the Hampton Inn, looking down on Smothers Park, and this is going to be the main threat, the main concern for Owensboro. This line of severe storms with potential damaging 60-mile-per-hour winds, maybe a bit stronger in some locations here. Clearly, you can see the camera rocking in the wind there. The visibility reduced. We're having a hard time even seeing the Glover Carey Blue Bridge there, not too far off in the distance, but this is now sweeping across Owensboro. And again, this is kind of all organized and intensified south and east of Evansville. So Evansville did not see anything this intense. But now it is setting up southeast of Evansville, and that's why I'm cautiously optimistic that Evansville is really sliding through all this without too much trouble, with the worst more to your south and to your northeast, the way it's been shaping up. But Owensboro, it's game on right now. Live view from the downtown riverfront there off the top of the Hampton Inn. Potential damaging 60-mile-per-hour winds moving through, and they got a tornado possible on that. I don't know if they just added that, Stacy.
No, it's been like that the whole time. It's for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail, but it has had that tornado possible on it since it was first issued a little while back. Okay, so yeah, I'll let you get back to your radar there and kind of track the rest of that northern line, and then we're going to get back down to Hopkins County when you're done with that. Yeah, so you can see the blinking red box there. That is a new update on that tornado warning that is now for southeastern Pike County and then across northern Spencer County, and then, of course, all of Du Bois County under that. But it's basically for the leading edge of this line that is now almost out of Pike County. It's kind of on the far eastern edge of Pike County, and then it kind of goes down and clips the northeastern edge there of Warwick County. So that part of the line will be making its way into Du Bois County, into the western part of Du Bois County, and then it will also move across northern Spencer County. And then that part of the line really weakens, and then we kind of pick up the southern part of this line that, like Wayne was saying, set up south and east of Evansville. So that's moving through Spencer County right now, and you could certainly be dealing with your strongest winds, and that'll be moving into the Tell City area here very shortly. As Wayne just said, Owensboro, you're getting your main event with that line too, and then it kind of curves back to the southwest. So as you head down into northern McLean and then southern and eastern Webster County, that's where the leading edge is too. And again, straight line damaging winds are going to be the main concern there. And then south of that is where we still have our standalone supercell in Hopkins County with that tornado warning, which has been our tornado emergency warning going into Muhlenberg County. So let's go back to Wayne rain for the latest there.
Yeah, that circulation unfortunately continues to hold together. Let me clear these away, but we've got that tornado now about to cross I-69 between Earlington and Morton's Gap. You can kind of see it right there. And so they've really narrowed down the tornado emergency portion of the polygon here. The initial polygon got all the way up to Earlington, but or north of Earlington, almost into the south side of Madisonville. But it's this one right here. This is really focusing on where we have the most significant tornado threat, and you can see it crossing 41 now, right between Earlington and Morton's Gap. So if you're in that corridor, you need to be in your safe area. We've been telling you that for the past 30 to 45 minutes. It's going to be crossing I-69 next to the south of the Earlington exit, and then it would continue towards Muhlenberg County. Now you got Sandy located over here, and let's just bring some other communities into view here. Now Bremen, you're technically in this tornado warning, but obviously a lot of history with Bremen, and of course Dawson Springs back in 2021. It looks like, at least if this maintains its path, it would stay south of Bremen. It would come in north of the Western Kentucky Parkway in Muhlenberg County and be more of a threat to the Kentucky Route 70 corridor, or maybe just south of 70 there in Muhlenberg County, but that would be more than likely to the south of the city of Bremen, which is probably just a little too far north to get this particular tornado into play. But it's now getting ready to cross I-69 between Earlington and Morton's Gap. Long history here of a tornado. We don't know yet about damage. I think it's moved over a fairly rural area, just missing Princeton, Kentucky, and then just missing Dawson Springs to the north. Fairly rural area. Might have gotten close to Charleston, Kentucky, Olney, Kentucky. And now, as it continues to track across central portions of Hopkins County, it is sliding just south of Earlington and probably just north of Morton's Gap in this area right here. We're using the radar out of Fort Campbell. It's got a nice clear shot into this. And I'll kind of show you the reason here that this storm is maintaining its intensity for so long. It is out ahead of the main line, and it has no interference whatsoever. It has got all of that warm, moist air coming up from the south. It's not competing with any other storms, and that makes a big difference when it comes to which supercells are going to stay severe and which are eventually going to fall apart, because that inflow, if it gets cut off by another cell, then you don't get it. So it's kind of like a wide receiver out here. It's the only receiver. It's going to get the ball thrown to him. And that's the case right here. Nothing obstructing the inflow to this storm, and that's why it will likely hold together until this main line catches up with it. And then eventually it'll merge with that line, but that may not happen until this already is into Muhlenberg County. So this tornado threat will likely continue into Muhlenberg County, and then maybe eventually across southern Ohio County as it continues on to the east. But you can see the main line of storms setting up to the northwest of it. If that catches up to it, could absorb that and kind of diminish this significant tornado threat, which continues now right between Nortonville and the Morton's Gap area, and looks like a new severe thunderstorm warning for the main line. So now you got a new warning for straight line winds for western Hopkins County, for the main line of storms coming in from the northwest. I assume that's pretty basic terminology they're using on that, Stacy, for that new warning?
On that, yes. So they've just got 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and quarter-sized hail. And same for the northern part of that line moving over into Perry County. That, too, is just the regular severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds there. Okay.
All right. So we're keeping an eye on what's going on northeast of Evansville. That appears to be the secondary tornado threat within the line, but the more significant tornado threat continues to be down here in our southern counties, in east central portions of Hopkins County. So we continue to look at the velocity data coming in out of that, and maybe it's not looking quite as organized as it did earlier. Matter of fact, let me step off camera here. I want to step through time here, because sometimes that gives us a pretty good feel for how things are evolving with a particular storm. So let me back it up here, and we're going to look at this rotation over time. And like right there, okay? Now clearly, we just took a hit. I think we're okay. All right, we're okay. So right there, this is at 8:57. clearly, I mean, look at that. That sticks out like a sore thumb north of Dawson Springs. So that looked much more serious there versus what it's doing right now. It's still significant, but it's not wrapped up quite as tight as it was when it was just north of Dawson Springs. I mean, it looked like it came in just to the north of the Dawson Springs exit there at 69 and 109. You can kind of see those pixels, those red and blues right up. I'll zoom in and show you. That's it. You can see it came in just to the north of the 69 exit there, south of Charleston, at around 8:53. But watch that circulation become a little less pronounced as it continues eastward. So now it looks like it might be beginning a transition to more straight line winds, maybe outrunning the inflow there. The inflow is getting cut off there, but just not seeing it as tightly wound as it was earlier. So that's somewhat good news for areas downstream of the storm, which of course would be western Muhlenberg County, in particular that area north of the Western Kentucky Parkway, and areas along and south of Kentucky 70 in Muhlenberg County. Those would be the favorite areas for this tornado. But it looks like it's a little bit weaker, and it's kind of emerging out of that tornado emergency polygon here. Still could be some circulation right up there. I mean, I'm trying to be optimistic here, but still, we've got some circulation here. You can kind of see it right there. But as I just showed you, compared to what it was like about 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, not nearly as significant as it was. Our storm tracker, Ben Walls, he's in our mobile storm tracker in Morton's Gap right now, in the area that this storm has just went on through. He is parked, it looks like, on I-69. We're having a hard time holding the signal together. So Ben, if we can get your signal, and you're right in the middle of things, what are you seeing down there? Yeah, it looks like we are having a hard time. He is right in the middle of that storm, and probably, yeah, the worst has gone through the Morton's Gap area. So, yeah, we're going to try to get in touch with him, but Ben is down in that area near Morton's Gap where the possible tornado just passed through. But you can see that circulation is now east, and they have updated the broad tornado warning. It's still observed tornado, but it's not a tornado emergency. So that's good news. What are they saying, Stacey?
They've dropped it down to a radar-confirmed tornado, and that's when you see the purple on our tornado warning. So they're continuing that until 10 o'clock for central Muhlenberg and southeastern Hopkins County. Still talking about a confirmed tornado because obviously that's what we've been tracking. Located over Morton's Gap or now south of Madisonville, moving east at about 25 miles per hour. So that'll be near Graham at 9:25, Greenville there in Muhlenberg County at 9:35, Central City and Powderly at 9:40. So again, they've dropped it down a little bit to a radar confirmed tornado, and that tornado warning is going to continue until 9:21. So this is going to include Interstate 69 in Kentucky between mile markers 105 and 112, also the Western Kentucky Parkway between mile marker 39 and 63, and then the Pennyrile between mile markers 33 and 34 down there as it moves into Muhlenberg County.
Okay, we had some new warnings up north of the White River, so we're going to get to Stacey on that in a moment. I want to show you in a little clearer detail here where that tornado warning is now for the southern storm. Greenville on the southern edge, but Central City, you're in basically the northern half of Muhlenberg County is under that warning, with Greenville on the southern edge. But the most favored circulation you can kind of see coming out of here would be south of Bremen, eventually moving towards the Central City area. But it looks like it's going to stay north of the Western Kentucky Parkway, at least the initial circulation that we have been tracking all along. But now as we take a look at the bigger picture, the severe threat really diminishing now for Evansville and points northwest. Now everything setting up in a line. We knew that was going to happen. This was going to evolve into a linear system, long line with straight line winds and embedded tornadoes. And the supercells, just one left, and it's a big one down here in eastern Hopkins County, moving into northwestern Muhlenberg County. That's the only supercell we have left. But you can see that the line, we got the north-south line here that appears to have more tornadic action on it. They're embedded tornadoes. And then this line appears to be more straight line winds. Everything now east of the Evansville area in terms of the really strong action. That's why I'm cautiously optimistic that the threat is really winding down now for Evansville and points to the north and west. And now we'll just have to focus here on our southeastern and far northeastern counties for a little while longer. And as we were saying all along, this threat would be over with by 11 o'clock. And indeed, that will be the case, probably ending between about 10 and 11 o'clock. But
too, that they think that the tornado signature there in eastern Hopkins County is finally weakening. Finally weakening
after, about an hour of a very pronounced circulation. And hopefully Ben is down there in Hopkins County. So what we need to send Ben to, he's not really going to be able to catch up with this, but control room, if you can get Ben to travel out towards, maybe go to Dawson Springs and then take the Dawson Springs exit and go north towards Charleston. That's the area we need to find out how much damage there is. Unfortunately, I think there's going to be damage there, but we're going to send Ben Walls out towards Dawson Springs and then north of the Dawson Springs exit. Okay, okay. If we can, we'll get back to Ben in just a moment. Let's right now get back down here to this one remaining supercell, and the line's almost caught up with it, and I think that might be breaking up the circulation some. But you can still see that tornado warning, and we're still going to use that radar down in the Fort Campbell area and see exactly what we got in terms of velocity. And still a little bit of rotation right there, getting ready to cross the river into western Muhlenberg County. So there's Bremen, there's Greenville. Again, if we're going to get a tornado out of this, it more than likely would stay south of Bremen and perhaps, I'd say areas north of the Western Kentucky Parkway. Right now, the most favored signature would be right there. And it looks like they just added some sort of severe thunderstorm warning for the main line. So they have two warnings going on. They got a warning for the supercell, tornado warning for the supercell, and now a severe thunderstorm warning for the line.
And the line down there is 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and quarter-sized hail, so our normal severe thunderstorm warning.
Okay, which is nice. Normal is nice on this particular night. Let's look at the shear tracks and see if this is helping us out some. And this is going to be a good way to show you how this storm has been tracking and evolving. Okay, so this is the storm over time. So basically, our system taking a snapshot every 4 minutes of where the rotation is and color coding it, making it a little bit easier to see. So as we talked about, this likely went in just north of Dawson Springs, right past the exit there, and then continued across southern Hopkins County. But you can see the circulations are getting weaker. We had all these shades of purple in there. It indicates really significant circulations. And now we're just getting that first shade of light blue there. And so if we just project that line and continue it in this general direction, you can see that it will stay north of the Western Kentucky Parkway, south of Bremen, but get close to Central City. Hopefully, though, by the time it gets up towards Central City, it will weaken even more. But at least we're seeing a weakening trend right now with that storm coming out of Hopkins County with a history of tornadoes, or a tornado, and now pushing into Muhlenberg County. But we got Ben Walls down here in our mobile storm tracker. So he was in Morton's Gap a moment ago. We're going to send him along the western, or I-69, I should say, to the Dawson Springs exit, and then go up here to the north of that exit. And I think he's going to run into something. So hopefully control room, let him know that's where we need him to go. We had a hard time communicating with him. He's been in the middle of all this action here, but that's where we'll send Ben, and we'll know pretty quickly how bad the damage is. But I think we're going to find some damage down in that area. So, okay, that's kind of the storm over time. Let's get back to the velocity data coming out of that area and make sure I got the right radar in there. So, again, not looking quite as organized as it did earlier. I'll put the radar over here. We're still seeing a little circulation up here. So we'll zoom in a little tighter, and if I show you that, we're going to get up north of the White River and show you a couple of warnings up there. Fringe counties for us, but nonetheless, we want to show you what's going on. So if we got a little circulation left, it would be right there getting ready to cross over the Muhlenberg County line. So Sandy, the area along 70 there in the community of Sandy would be the next area of concern with this, what appears to be a weakening tornadic cell pushing into Muhlenberg County, but still a tornado warning in effect for the northern half of Muhlenberg County. But we're really focusing in on that part of the line or that part of the storm that is going to be tracking north of the Western Kentucky Parkway and perhaps along and south of Kentucky 70, and Sandy would be the next community of size in line for that particular circulation. All right, so that's the latest down on the Hopkins-Muhlenberg County line. Now let's go north of the White River into Indiana for the tornado warnings up there. Stacey.
That's right. And real quick before we get to that, you mentioned Charleston and having been going there. Our Brandon Bartlett did send me a message that on our Facebook page we did have a viewer report that there are some people trapped in homes in Charleston. So unfortunately, as Wayne said, it looks like we are going to find quite a bit of damage in that area. So we'll get back to Ben at some point here, but let's continue to kind of track this line in the northeast corner of the tri-state right now for you. And again, this is the main line, but still up here northeast of Evansville, we still have a few tornado warnings in effect for at least the potential for some rotation in that line. And one of them is up here in the far northeast corner here of Davies County, and then also around the city of Lagodi. One more tornado warning there. And again, the main line there moving through for you guys. So this is the main event. Can't rule out something trying to spin up still. The Weather Service out of Paducah is going to allow the warnings to expire here very shortly at 9:30 for Pike County. But out of Louisville, those of you in DuBois County, technically still under the tornado warning, but that line really breaking up quite a bit as it moves to the east across DuBois County. So hopefully you've again got your main event moving through right now and not looking too bad there, but that tornado warning, oh, and there it was. It expired at 9:30, like I said, for Pike County and then also northern Spencer County. So just severe thunderstorm warnings then. Once you get, now actually it looks like in DuBois County, they've dropped that tornado warning too. So just a severe thunderstorm warning left for DuBois County as that line continues really through the eastern part of the county now. And then as you head south of Interstate 64, that's kind of where that southern line sort of starts. So leading edge, moving through Spencer County, but also moving through Perry County. Again, just a severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and quarter-sized hail. And then that starts to arc back to the southwest through the middle of Hancock County there. And now it is south and east of Owensboro, at least the leading edge of that line there in Davis County, kind of the southern and eastern part of it. And then it goes back into much of McLean County, at least the leading edge, getting into the southern part of the county there. And then those of you in Hopkins County, you obviously had to deal with that tornado, but now you're kind of getting the main line coming through with just the potential for 60-mile-per-hour wind gust and some hail, some heavy rain and lightning as that continues to push on through. So that's what we have right now. We're getting a lot of flood advisories and things like that. So obviously, even behind the main line, you can see lots of moderate to heavy rain continues. So if you're trying to get out and look at damage and look at things, be very careful because we're dark now and you don't want to try to drive through any water that's covering the roads out there. That can be a big problem for us too.
And also be careful of down power lines. They could be still live on the ground, and those are very dangerous situations. We've had fatalities after storms in the past year, not here in the tri-state necessarily, but that has happened. So I want to show you how this situation is improving. This is 8:56 on the radar when we had a tornado passing just north of Dawson Springs. Looks pretty obvious. You can clearly see it down there. And I'm going to put it into action here as it tracks across southern Hopkins County, holding together there as it passes south of Arlington. But watch what happens now as it pushes east of I-69. It appears to be losing its circulation. It's getting absorbed by the gust front coming in behind it. So it really looks like that tornado threat is diminishing now for Webster County, or for Muhlenberg County. Because right there we still have circulation, but watch the area of dark blue come in behind it and is now pretty much overtaking that supercell and shutting it down. So it looks like the tornadic part of this storm, at least the strong tornado that was embedded within the storm is getting knocked apart. And so that threat is diminishing some. What would be left of that circulation would still be potentially in that notch here in western Muhlenberg County, pretty close to Kentucky Route 70 there in the Sandy area. So if we have anything left on that tornado, that's where it would most likely be, right along Kentucky 70, maybe just south of it in that notch right there, moving towards Sandy. But as I just showed you, this is looking nothing like it did about 45 minutes ago when it was plowing through areas to the north of Dawson Springs, which we have our mobile storm tracker en route to. Ben Walls will hopefully have a live report from the area just north of Dawson Springs, south of Charleston, where we have some damage already confirmed, but we have our vehicle and our mobile storm tracker en route to that area to hopefully get some information on just how bad it is. But just based on radar, I think it's going to be bad in some areas, but it looks like it did hit a relatively unpopulated area of southern Hopkins County. I mean, hitting any area with population is not good, but at least it looked like it may have avoided the bigger towns. Certainly looked like it went north of Dawson Springs. And now what's left of that is weakening a bit. It looks like we got a new tornado warning in effect, and this is
for southern Muhlenberg County. Just a radar indicated rotation on this. So they're saying a severe storm capable of producing a tornado near Weir or 12 miles southwest there of Central City. And they have it moving faster now to the east at 45 miles per hour. So Powderly, Weir, Greenville, about 9:40 is when you can expect that storm.
Okay, so that is that same supercell just trying to stay alive out ahead of the main line here. Still has all of that uninterrupted flow in from the south, that warm, moist air coming up from the south, fueling it. But now it's getting interference from the northwest. So it's having a little harder time holding together, but it's trying. And now it's got another circulation trying to spin up here on the south end. The original circulation was in that notch right there. And now starting to see something trying to spin a little farther to the south. But my guess is this would not be as significant as what we saw in Hopkins County. But let's get over to the radar out of Fort Campbell, and we will see exactly what it's showing here in terms of potential rotation, and could be something right down here in this area. So almost a situation kind of like we were seeing up in our northern counties on the leading edge of that gust front. Now we're seeing some circulations trying to spin, but this is basically the gust front merging with that tornadic supercell down in Muhlenberg County, and it's still trying to spin some here. And you can see the new warning does take into account the southern portions of Muhlenberg County, which originally were not under the tornado warning. Now you are for the line that's coming in from the west. It could be an embedded tornado within that. And it looks like they updated a part of this, Stacy.
They did. They're just going to keep that going too until 10 o'clock. So that part of the storm, or the part of the line capable of producing a tornado, they had located over Graham, about 10 miles west of Central City, moving east at 40 miles per hour. Again, both of these tornado warnings are now just radar indicated rotation. So yes, still a tornado warning, and yes, we still need to be in our tornado safe place until this completely gets out of there, but certainly a step or even two down from where we were a little while ago.
Indeed. So let's reset the table here. We've got just the one tornado warning. It's actually two combined covering all of Muhlenberg County, and then a severe thunderstorm warning across along the entire line, all the way from Martin County down through Du Bois, Perry, Hancock, Northern Ohio, and then back through McLean, Hopkins County. Evansville is in the clear now, at least in terms of severe weather. Flash flood warnings in effect, it looks like, for Henderson, Webster, and Union counties, and maybe for points farther off there to the east. So we still have some more straight line wind threat to deal with down here in Ohio, because if you're not under a warning yet, you will be. I'm sure the rest of Ohio County is going to go under a severe thunderstorm warning, but that would be the only part of the tri-state that is still left to go under a warning before this finally comes to an end. And we can see on live Doppler radar this Boeing line of storms now, and we kind of talked about this all along. Initially, it was going to be scattered supercells forming with a significant tornado threat. Remember, just I think it was an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, we had 3 supercells lined up from southern Henderson County, across Union County, and then back into Gallatin and Saline counties. And Morganfield, we need to hear from, I don't know if we had any damage in Morganfield. That was the first storm that we were really worried about going into Morganfield. And then the monster, or the much bigger one, that came out of Caldwell County into Hopkins County. That was certainly the biggest one of the day. But we had 3 lined up just south of the river there in the early stages of this event. And then we expected it to evolve into this long Boeing line of storms. And that's what we have right now, all sweeping to the southeast. And it looks like these are going to be clearing. I think the main severe weather threat will likely be over by 10 o'clock. Originally, we were saying 11. Looks like it's going to be 10 o'clock. So a very intense time frame here of severe weather that played out in a pretty compact, quick time frame also, from roughly 7 this evening to 10 o'clock. Just about 3 hours. Often when you get a lot of warnings, it's about a 4-hour stretch. Okay, that's Eddyville. That would be a different tornado. Where's Ben Walls? That's what we need to know where Ben is. Because that Eddyville tornado, we'll get to that later. That was from earlier in the event. Okay, no signal. Okay, that's the problem. He's in an area where cell coverage is pretty thin. So he's getting very close to Charleston. At the very least, I think Ben's going to be able to tell us what he sees.
Text too from our news director, Warren Korf, and he said that we are getting a lot of reports of people trapped in homes there in Charleston and saying some pretty bad damage in that area. Right. So we'll hear from Ben here soon.
Yeah, we may not be able to get video, but at least we'll get a report from him on the phone, hopefully. I mean, like I said, cell phone service could be very sparse down there. It often is just because of its location. And then if cell towers got knocked down, that's even harder to get a signal out, though. So that's where Ben is right now, just to the north of Dawson Springs, investigating the damage down there. But what's left of that storm is now in Muhlenberg County, much weaker, as we continue to watch the southeastern part of the tri-state deal with what's left of this line. Looks like our northeastern counties are just about out of it. It looks like the leading edge of the strongest winds are almost pushing out of Barton County. Looks like they're winding down in DuBois. Maybe still some action there in eastern Perry County. But the focus is going to be down here in our southeastern counties for about another 30 minutes. And then we're just going to really focus on what happened in Hopkins County and other points in the tri-state. We may have certainly had damage elsewhere, but it looks like areas down in southern Hopkins County were hit pretty hard. And honestly, we're not surprised based on what we saw on the radar. But let's track what's left of that supercell that caused all the trouble in Hopkins County, and you can see it's getting absorbed now by the main line coming in from the north. It is no longer standing alone by itself, and that's going to help tear apart the circulation, or at least the main circulation. So we'll switch over to HPX here, look at velocity, and see if any of that circulation is holding together. If we have anything, it's going to be where the blue meets the red here. And that would be getting close to Greenville now. So Greenville, this will be your main event for you. It looks like it's pushing through the Bremen area. But I'm not seeing any well-defined circulation on that line, but there could be something briefly trying to spin up. At the very least, some pretty strong straight line winds and dark shades of blue here pushing into the Greenville area. So we've been obviously focusing on these tornado threats, but we certainly have the potential here for some widespread damaging straight line winds as its darker shades of blue really just roar right across much of Muhlenberg County here. As that main line is now catching up with the supercell, and then it will continue into Ohio County. But you'll notice here that the wind that is pushing into Muhlenberg County is much stronger than what's happening up here in Ohio County. We're not seeing those dark shades of blue so much as we are down here. So it looks like the surge of wind energy is really more pronounced in this part of the line down here in Muhlenberg County as compared to what's heading into Ohio County. And that may be why Ohio County does not have a warning yet. But certainly Muhlenberg County has both a tornado warning and a severe thunderstorm warning for that line that is moving on through. But this is the area that we're really focused in on damage. Would be just north of Dawson Springs. Between Dawson Springs and Charleston, that area right there, and across southern Hopkins County. It looked like it weakened by the time it got to the Muhlenberg County line, but it looks like southern, perhaps southwestern Hopkins County, just to the north of I-69, got hit hard by a tornado here this evening. It was pretty obvious. We tracked it on a Doppler radar, and what is left of that storm now much weaker with a lot of straight line winds in Muhlenberg County, and maybe some circulations embedded within that line. A couple notches showing up here and there, so we can't rule out a spin up. But at the very least, you could get some straight line wind damage coming from that line as it continues to sweep across Muhlenberg County. A lot of lightning also from Greenville northward through Central City, and then up into areas east of Bremen, and then kind of cutting off there south of the Livermore area. So I'll show you the really big picture here. This is three dimensions. No really need to take a look at that right now. The lightning is often a good indicator of where the most intense storms are. You can see that's really associated with all the storms down on the leading edge of that line. And then here's the really big picture of how things are evolving throughout the entire region. All this set up here to our north and west, and now we got the Boeing line of storms that will continue to drop southeastward, and our threat should be pretty much over with by about 10 o'clock this evening. So backing it up here and showing you the alerts map, and kind of setting the table for what we have. And it looks like, yeah, they're still keeping the tornado watch going, everything filling in there with the severe thunderstorm warnings. But the worst over with for Evansville, points north and west, the threat really winding down. And really the main threats on the leading edge of this line now pushing through our eastern and more southeastern counties. So, Stacey, any new information on damage perhaps coming in from the National Weather Service?
That's what I've been looking through all of the chats from the different National Weather Services, and obviously where we're expecting to have the worst of the damage, where we were tracking there in Hopkins County. But it does appear that we have some damage perhaps up in parts of Gibson County. Not getting a real specific area right now, perhaps around the Fort Branch area, but we'll continue to kind of look in for that. And that's where we did kind of start to see at least some rotation up there around Owensville, moving into Fort Branch and then into eastern Gibson County. So could be a little bit of damage up there. We'll have to kind of wait and see. Just starting to see of a few reports here and there. Some trees down and some flash flooding in Henderson County. Not too much out of Evansville or Vandenberg County that I've seen so far. And lots of roads and streets underwater and flooded around Owensboro in Davis County too. So again, now we're kind of winding down a lot of the severe weather threat, now just down mainly in our southeastern counties again, and winding down our tornado threat. But we still have a lot of rain coming down behind that line of storm. So we're always concerned, especially at night, for flooding and flash flooding. So you might want to get out, you might want to drive around and take a look at things, but be very careful if you do decide to do any of that and you come across any water covering the roadways, because we are getting lots of flood advisories and lots of flood warnings in different areas. I do think we'll come in, Wayne, with some trees down and some damage in some other places. So we'll just kind of have to continue to kind of get those into the Weather Center.
Yeah, still curious about Morganfield. Where, okay, all right, we were getting some video in from the storms earlier today. This was in Eddyville, Kentucky. Let's go ahead and take a look at that video right now. And this was, tornado. I don't know if this was the same tornado that eventually pushed into Hopkins County, but they had a couple.
Just to move like into Saline County.
Okay, okay. Yeah, this is down near Eddyville, Kentucky. Of course, a lot of folks down there for the holiday weekend. But we don't know about damage there, but that's kind of where everything initially set up late this afternoon, and then eventually moved our way. Now,
oh, no, I guess it was. It was. You're right. It was down around the Princeton, Kentucky area. Yes, it was the one that we were watching a couple counties before it moved into Hopkins County. Yes,
right. And it could have been, you know, there were a couple supercells down there. Not sure if this is the one that eventually became the one that hit Hopkins County, but clearly a tornado down there in the Eddyville area. We're still waiting on reports. Of course, a lot of your friends and family may be down at the lakes for the weekend. So they certainly had some issues down there, and we're trying to gather reports from all over the region. But just want to kind of ride what's left of this line here from north to south, and it looks like DuBois County, the worst is over there. Perry County, you still got a pretty intense cell there on the southeastern edge, right along the river, but that's just about to cross over into Breckenridge County. Hancock County looks like the worst is just about out of your county. Ohio County, you've got a kind of... And they did?
Yeah.
For which county?
For Ohio County.
For Ohio County.
I think that's their first one as far as a severe thunderstorm warning.
Okay.
60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail.
Okay, right, but not northern Ohio. It looks like it's just basically the southwestern half of Ohio County. So a little bit of a lull here between storms to the north, a little stronger, and then to the south. But you can see that swath of damaging straight line wind now picking up in areas from Hartford, really I-165 southwestward across Muhlenberg County is where we have the severe thunderstorm warnings continue. And it's on the leading edge of this where we'll continue to see some damaging straight line winds. But that should be pretty much out of here by 10 o'clock. So a heads up to our control room and our news department. We should be able to have a newscast at 10 o'clock this evening here. The severe threat should be pretty much over with by 10 p.m. We've been on all evening long. Okay, yeah, just count us down. Let us know when to finish up here. It's 9:47, and it looks like that threat now pretty much confined to southeastern portions of Muhlenberg and southeastern Ohio counties. As we get down here into Hopkins County, the leading edge of the line almost out of the county, and is again on the leading edge where you're going to get the most intense wind. And then if you got friends or family down at the lakes, they're getting the final line of storms coming through right now through Catawba already, and there are your lakes down here. They're just hitting the lakes area now. Katie's has yet to see the wind, but that straight line wind's heading your way. Looks like a severe thunderstorm warning down there, but no tornado warnings on this part of the line down in far western Kentucky. Looks like they got a lot of wind and rain, but it looks like that'll be the final event certainly for them also. But by 10 o'clock up here in the tri-state, we will be done with our severe weather threat as we focus on the recovery efforts and the damage, especially in southern and southwestern portions of Hopkins County, just to the north of Dawson Springs. We know of damage there. If you have some pictures, we have on our app, you can snap a picture and send it to us, and then we can share it with viewers. Let us know what you, but make sure you do it safely. Be very careful. Still a lot of rain out there, some lingering lightning. Watch out for, down power lines and things like that. But just be careful moving out after the storm. But you can go ahead and send us some pictures of any damage that you have. But we fear the worst of the damage is going to be down here in southern Hopkins County, just north of I-69. And then we're still very curious about what happened with that first initial wave. There's 3 supercells that kind of laid out coming out of southern Illinois. One went through Morganfield, another one went right along the Webster-Henderson County line, and then we had the other one come out of Saline County. All right, we do have an update now from Ben Walls. Okay, so search and rescue, is that in the community of Charleston? Okay, so our crew is down there and unable to get into the damaged area because of search and recovery efforts that are underway. So that's not a good sign, obviously. So it looks like some pretty major damage in areas north of Dawson Springs up towards the Charleston, Kentucky area. So search and rescue is underway, and our crew is being held back from basically getting in the way of the folks that are trying to assist the people that were impacted by that tornado down there. But we'll continue to get reports from Ben, and of course Eyewitness News at 10 o'clock coming up here on ABC 25. We'll have some more information, maybe some video. We're having a hard time getting a signal out of that area, but as I mentioned earlier, we had tornado warnings for this corridor here, and it looks like another tornado warning has just come in, and not sure, it looks like they're updating the one down in Muhlenberg County. Stacy?
Yes, so tornado warning for southeastern Muhlenberg County there until 10:15, so about 25 minutes. That severe thunderstorm that could produce a tornado was near Powderly, 8 miles southeast of Central City, and moving east at 50 miles per hour. So this is just a radar indicated rotation on this tornado warning there in southeastern Muhlenberg County.
Okay, southeastern Muhlenberg County. So that would be down in this area here. We have so many polygons going on. It looks like it's this one right here. So, okay, let me back out of this a little bit. And of course, we got that information scrolling across the top of the screen. Let's go back to the radar out of Fort Campbell and see if we get a circulation on this. And now colors are kind of reversing here because these storms are getting farther to the east. But there's the gust front. And it looks like maybe along the leading edge, we're seeing a little bit of a notch there, and that would be just south of Drakesboro, about to cross 431. So this would be east of Greenville. Let me just look at the raw velocity here. Okay, so it looks like, yeah, it might be a little circulation right in there. Nothing like what we saw in Hopkins County, but it certainly could be a little circulation there to the southwest of Drakesboro, about to cross over 431, and then we'll quickly push across southeastern Muhlenberg County, then out of our area, and that would be around 10 o'clock. So we'll still be able to start our newscast here at the top of the hour, as this will be the final tornado warning, certainly, of the night on the very leading edge of that line of storms, which is still trying to basically knock down that supercell that caused all the trouble in Hopkins County, still kind of hanging on here and merging with that line, where we still have a little bit of a circulation south of Drakesboro, and that tornado warning will continue. And eventually that circulation would shoot just south of Ohio County and just south of the Rochester Ferry area. But that is the one area that we're watching reflectivity-wise. You can kind of see it in the notch right there. So, yeah, this threat should be winding down, I think, for most of our area by about 10 o'clock or shortly thereafter. So coming up on Eyewitness News at 10, we're going to take a look at all aspects of how this evening has played out. But most importantly, we will be down in southwestern Hopkins County in the areas north of Dawson Springs and near Charleston, where a tornado has produced significant damage with search and rescue underway. We don't know about injuries at this point, but we have a crew on the scene down there, and we're going to get the latest information from them. Okay, so people in Henderson County were stuck in a vehicle. Is that flood related, or would that be? Okay, storm related. So we got people trapped in a vehicle in Henderson County related to the storm. Rock House Road, 5 people on Rock House Road stuck in a vehicle, storm related. Not sure exactly the details on that. So we'll have more of that coming up on Eyewitness News at 10 o'clock, starting in about 6 minutes on ABC 25. So this severe weather event continues to wind down. You can see way down here, southeastern tip of Muhlenberg County, that tornado warning continuing for about another 5 minutes, a little weak circulation on the leading edge of that line. But the severe weather threat over with for Evansville, and really anywhere behind this line, that's pretty much it. They're going to take a little time, it looks like, clearing out the watch. Yeah, they've still got the tornado watch out, but here are your flash flood warnings. We haven't talked a lot about that, but David, really just about all of western Kentucky except Ohio County under a flash flood warning because of all the heavy rain, not only from the storms tonight, but that was on top of all the storms this morning. Remember, western Kentucky got slammed this morning with severe weather. We got a little rain up here north of the river, but this is the second wave of severe storms for western Kentucky, creating a lot of flash flooding down there. So this tornado watch is going to be cleared out pretty quickly for the area, but we'll continue to have a little more rain. You can see the rain still extending back here, cutting off now as you head west of US 45 in southern Illinois. So anything from you, Stacey, before we wind things up here in terms of our coverage?
Haven't seen too much more on any damage, so we'll continue to still look for that. But again, watching a lot of flood advisories and flood warnings too. So that's going to kind of be what we transition to right now as that line of storms moves off to the south and east. Wayne just showed you those. Those are what's kind of showing up in that teal color there. They are watching that tornado warning still in Muhlenberg County, eastern Muhlenberg County. A few minutes ago, they were noticing that rotation strengthening a little bit. Not sure what's going on, they say, but they do have a tornado warning on it. So they are going to continue to keep an eye on that, as we will too. Yeah,
that's just about out of Muhlenberg County. They're extending that another county southeastward. So that's pretty much our coverage. Hopefully you got through tonight okay. We have more details on the damage coming up here shortly on Eyewitness News at 10 o'clock on ABC 25. We'll continue to keep the lingering severe weather information crawling across the top of your screen. Again, if you can send some pictures and storm reports in a safe way, please do. But thanks for staying with us, and we'll continue to keep you safe and informed throughout the remainder of this evening.